first turn on my mic. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Phoebe's Place. I am your host, Phoebe Wells. I am doing 30-minute segments, and this month we are focusing on grief. I first want to say thank you so much. It was my first relaunch last week talking about grief, and you guys, your support was amazing. So thank you so much for sharing and interacting. Thank you so much. And I want to do this real quick. So for on Thursdays, I am on ICBS radio. So Carolyn is the one that would be the one. She's the DJ to that. So she owns that company of the radio station. So thank you, Carolyn, for giving me the opportunity. Sydney, he does all of my media. My my manager is amazing. Thank you, Sydney, for doing everything for me. This is my time. I just want to say thank you. But yeah, I have another very special friend. I have some amazing women that I know. So I want to introduce to those that don't know her, those that do know her. Her name is Paula Cooper Pearl. Yes. We're going to talk about grief. Paula has experienced grief in various levels, various ways, and I want her to share her story. She's a beautiful woman. She doesn't look like what she's been through, but once she opens her mouth, she's going to let us know that you can still be present. You can still make it. It may be a daily struggle, but you can still make it. And she's one of the ones that have experienced it in a more recent arena. So, Paula, welcome and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, Paula, in your way, how did this begin in your grief, experiencing loss?
Well, my first experience with grief was my husband, um, who died at home in my hands, um, and that was traumatic in itself because he wasn't sick. He wasn't. He had been home. He was a truck driver. He had been home for a while, and he was supposed to leave out on the road, and it happened. On a, I believe it was a Saturday morning. And that afternoon, my 3-year-old, who is now 13, was with him when it happened. And I walked into the front living room, and he was non-responsive, or unresponsive rather. And I had to administer CPR. I had to call 911, and doing CPR on him, and um, you know, pumping his chest and thinking he's going to be super mad if I, break one of his ribs and, puncture a lung. And then he has added issues. Um,
Wow.
but, as I'm looking in his eyes, and literally within a blink of an eye, when I looked back at his eyes, when they say the eyes are the window to the soul, I truly believe that without a shadow of a doubt. Because, and literally within a blink of an eye, there was nothing there, and I
Mm,
knew it. And he was a preacher, and and I just, it was a lot. It was overwhelming. And
wow.
I just had a 3-year-old, and um it was a lot. It was just a lot. And it took me a couple of years to even grieve for him. It took me at least 2 years. I um i had to be there for my
Mm,
family, for our children, and I just I just had to be there for them. And I didn't even start grieving. That happened in September 12th, 2012. And I
wow.
didn't grieve till about 2014.
Mm,
I don't recall 2013 and some of 2014. And I just
wow.
prayed. I was like, okay, Lord, I have to get rid of this. Because I was really just existing
Hmm.
and really numb. And I prayed, and I was like, Lord, I have to do something with this. And one weekend, I just took a weekend to myself, and I retracked some of the things that we used to do. Um, One of our
Wow.
favorite places was to go to the beach. And I don't do because I didn't see him, in the casket or anything like that. The last time I seen him was when I took my dad to the back in the hospital to see him.
Mm.
I didn't see him after that. And so I went
Mm.
to the cemetery. I've never done that in my life. I didn't, I just never visited cemeteries. And I did. I sat there. It was very peaceful. And I got to say what I needed to say and sit there in silence and kind of allow things to start to process. And the last day of my weekend, I went to the beach and I prayed after I spent my time at the beach. I was like, Lord, once I step my foot off this sand, I need you to do something with this because I don't know what to do. Because grief has never hit that close to home. So I've never really dealt
Mm.
with grief before.
Okay.
And the minute I stepped my foot off the sand, I don't know what God did, but I was able to process it. I was able to have a memory and not be sad and not cry. And I'm not going to say that there aren't times of sadness or tears, but
Mm-hmm.
the process was able to begin. But then the most recent, because we were married for almost 7 years, and the
Wow.
most recent was last April 15th. My oldest sister, who I called her my sister mom, and she was kind of the one that raised me, and she was there for my life events, my children being born, surgery, emergency visits, graduation, moving to a
Mm.
new place, everything major and minor in my life. She was present. She was always there.
Mm.
I can't even recall a time that she wasn't there. But I remember the day that I got the call. I was at work and I got the call that my sister had passed, and I was like, I couldn't process it. I
Mm.
couldn't. And even to this day, I'm still in April 15th, 2022.
Wow.
I can honestly say I haven't really moved on from that day. And it doesn't quite seem like a year.
So I have a question.
Hmm.
What's the and I know naturally that's your husband and sister. So what's the different type of grief you experience from Elder Pearl? See it, you know, Elder Pearl. Well, we still call him Elder Pearl. You know,
Yeah.
Elder Pearl. You know, my husband and
Right.
him used to sit and watch the game, and I'm upstairs and they loud, no, you know. So my husband have moments where he missed that. But what's the difference of the grief process between him and your sister?
I think it's a little more deeply rooted because I have more of a history with her. She was
Mm,
she was my foundation. She was,
wow.
like I said, she was there for everything. I mean, when I was because I as a child I had asthma really bad, and anytime I would have asthma, she would make me sleep with her because she always said she feared that I would stop breathing. So, and she's never not taken
Mm,
care of me. Even in my adult years, she took care of me. Um in every sense of the way in every sense of the word. And like I said, I still haven't accepted it. Just to be clearly honest, I have not accepted. My mind will not allow me to process this.
mm.
um it just seems like
So
I haven't talked to her.
okay, okay. And do you think it's because I know you were sharing with me before we started, you just don't know what exactly happened. So it keeps you stuck in that place because it's not resolved what actually happened.
Well, she was at my house the week before she passed, and my youngest daughter, who basically, helped me raise her. She helped me raise all my children. When I was working, she was the only person I trust to take care of my children.
Mm,
So she helped me raise, my three children. And and I just got the call. because she was at home, and she's always answered her phone no matter what. My niece had her car, and she called her dad, which is her brother, and said, Amy's not answering the phone. Can you go over there and
Mhm.
get her extra key? Because I locked her keys in the car. And my brother found her in the bathroom.
Mm. Mhm.
And he don't know why. I don't know why. She wasn't sick. She wasn't. As a matter of fact, when I called her doctor to see was there something that she wasn't telling us, he said he didn't understand. He said because all her lab was great, everything was good. Um,
Wow.
she was supposed to have a CT of her because she hurt her shoulder at work, and that put her into early retirement because she was a school bus driver. And we tried to ask them to do an autopsy because she was found at home with no one there, but she had been gone for 12. She had been gone long enough for rigor mortis to set in. And
Wow.
I was the last one who spoke to her. I talked to her around 9 o'clock that night because anytime anything funny comes on, or, just whatever, I would call her, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go to bed. And, because I shared with her something that was funny on TV, and I said, I'll talk to you later. And that was it. And I got the call,
So
and hmm
where, because you have a different type of grief right now because things are unresolved. And you, from what you told me, you have seen counselors,
yes,
right? Grief
I've been,
counselors?
I have been to through like three or four. I always end up being their counselor. So
Mm.
the last counselor that I had kind of helped me a little bit more than the others did. I ended up being her counselor as well, but she did kind of help me see that, okay, it's still new, you're okay. It's okay if you don't accept it. She said, give yourself some grace. She said, it's still fresh,
Mm.
it's still new. And she said, it's okay if you don't accept it. And, I try to force myself to accept it, but when I tell you, when I literally try to say, okay, she's no longer here, my mind shuts down instantly.
Mm. Mm.
And it just won't allow me to process that. And I know it's going to take a while. I don't know how long it's
Yes.
going to take, but
Yes.
and I pray like, Lord, I have this desire, me and my sister and my brother, my nieces,
Mhm.
everybody wants to know what happened,
Mhm.
because they wouldn't do an autopsy for some reason.
Wow.
And they just wanted to call it a cardiac arrest. But that's not, and I know that's not what it was. But
Okay.
because they don't have an answer, and I don't understand why they wouldn't do an autopsy, and we were going to pay to have an autopsy done, but the funeral was already arranged and we wasn't going to get the body back in time.
And you're in the medical field, right?
Absolutely.
So you can kind of know um what is cardiac arrest and what is not.
Absolutely.
And Elder Pearl suffered cardiac arrest. So
He
that's
had he had um he had a disease in his arteries that we didn't know about.
mm, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's resolved. You were
Yeah.
able to move forward, not
Yeah,
totally move forward, but you're
I knew
at
what
peace.
happened.
Yes.
They did
Yes.
an autopsy on him because he died at
Yeah.
home as well. So that's why I didn't understand why they wouldn't do
Mm.
one on my sister. And it just baffles me, and it really leaves all of us unsettled in not knowing. And
Mhm.
literally, because where she was found in the bathroom, every night that I go to the bathroom, I just imagine myself, and I put myself in the posture that
Wow.
we found her in, because it's
Okay.
like, what was she alone? Was she hurting? Did she go peacefully? Was she
Mm.
in need? Was she, she was by herself, and part of it. And I know I have survivor's remorse,
Okay.
and it's just like, I just felt like I wasn't there for her. She's been there for me my entire life. And in her final hours, when I feel like she may have needed me, I wasn't
Mm.
there. So I
Mhm.
have, that to wrestle with. But
Mhm.
yeah, and her anniversary is coming up soon, and And literally almost more often than I'd like, I feel like I'm dying. I'm like, is this what she felt? Am
Mhm.
I dying next? Is this me? You know,
Mm.
and I talk to
Because
my
we do
husband.
have those thoughts.
Yes,
That's and I'm just dealing with natural right now, where we understand spiritual, but naturally we do put ourselves there. Like, am I gonna go? Am I the next one? Um,
yeah.
where are you like right now mentally? And just hearing you, I can say that the pain is probably too much for you to openly receive it. So
Sure.
your body is protecting you, your mental is
For
protecting
sure.
you by just blocking it out. Just that's it.
Absolutely.
So you
Absolutely.
do have to wait until my first lady spoke last Sunday. Is called 18 inches from change, meaning from our mental to our heart. And you're in the process of when mentally you will be able to handle it, your heart will be able to heal.
Yeah.
But where does this leave you? Where does this drop you off at? Because a lot of people are experiencing because of recent deaths that their family or friends have experienced.
Well, I can truly say it has, and I'm still there. It dropped me off April for me it was 14th, but we found her on the 15th. I'm still April 15th. I have not
Mm,
left that time. It's like my body knows when it's a Thursday. My body knows when it's a Friday because there's different
mm,
reactions there. And it's just, and knowing that her anniversary is coming up, I have these headaches, and it's just like physically it's doing a number on me physically.
mhm.
Physically it is. Because
Now,
literally I have to remember sometimes to breathe, literally.
wow, wow, and that's the part that we don't understand. Um, Paul, I know my friend experienced different things people told her. What are some of the people told you that you need to get over it? Because people have a tendency not to have grace on the one that's grieving. What
Well,
have
the
you
only
experienced?
the only thing that I've truly experienced is people know that I'm not the same Paula.
Mm,
They're like that they miss the old Paula, and I told them, you know what? She's gone. She's never
wow.
returning. And you know,
What does that mean, Paula, when they're telling you they miss the old Paula?
I think because I'm always laughing, I'm always joking, I'm always, I'm usually
Hmm.
just, that person, that make people laugh, and not on purpose, but I guess I'm just naturally entertaining.
Hmm.
Um and I love to have fun. And
Hmm.
I
Okay.
love to make people laugh, and just I have a little bit of that. And it was only here recently when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize my own self. I couldn't see me.
Wow.
Like my outlook, the world looks totally different, like a new place. And
I
to be
understand what you're
honest,
saying.
I'm not sure where I am. I just know where I haven't left.
Okay. And at least you can identify that.
Yeah.
um where because I believe now I'm not those of you watching, Dr. Tamitra Clark will be on next week. But I can relate to what you're saying. I hear you. um the world is different. It's not that safe, fun loving place,
Mm,
because now you've lost a loved one, several, but this is a different loss. And it it placed you in a where you feel unsafe,
for sure.
if you would. You understand what I'm saying? You feel
Sure.
very unsafe. So therefore, that's why you looking at yourself, not recognizing yourself. Now, what are you doing as a start? Tiffany, hey Tiffany. Okay, so she just lost her husband. She said she get the same thing all the time. She just lost her husband recently.
Mm.
Um, so she's processing this. Um, for to tell others, what are you doing? Just one thing to make it different, to make it a little bit where I know I got to put one foot before the other, because when you get up, I know that's a challenge. You got to face this day. Sometimes, some days you're not going to feel like facing the day. But what are you doing for the one step?
The one step is I have to show up. I have to show
Mm,
up. You know, I'm
okay.
I'm still here, so I still have work to do. I still have ministry to do. And I
Mm,
do know that. And I can't, because I'm just not that person to give up. Although,
okay.
sometimes you do want to, I won't.
Mm-hmm.
There's been
Mm-hmm.
times where I was on that borderline of depression because I didn't want to get out of the bed. And, my support system was like, nope, you have to get up. Even if you just get up and get dressed, even if you're not going anywhere, show up.
Speak on that support system. Speak on that.
My first lady, she has been a tremendous help. My best friend has been a tremendous help. My brother and my sister. Um, we don't. It doesn't matter what time of the day. We call each other. If I just want to rant, if I just want to, um,
Mm,
because one thing I'm not great. I don't like crying. And they say you have
okay.
to cry, it cleanses the soul, but that's just something I don't like doing.
Okay.
I will get in the shower, I will go under the water just so I don't really distinguish tears from the water. And I've just
Mm,
never been a person who likes to cry.
okay.
And, I have had my breakdowns,
Okay.
where it's like, it's been too long. I haven't talked to her. It's been too long. Because this is somebody I would talk to almost on a daily basis.
Hmm.
And every seen her at least 2 or 3 times out of the week, every weekend.
Hmm.
Because I took her to church. We would go to her house. And every New Year's, I can't tell you a New Year's that I never spent without her.
Wow. So you
And
show up. That's the first thing, is to show up.
yeah, well, the first thing is I would have to remember to breathe.
Mm. So why, okay, and I'm just asking because
Hmm.
some may not understand that fact. I'm sure Tiffany probably understands what you're saying, but when you say that, what do you mean?
I literally have to take a deep breath in. And it
Mm.
even when I take a deep breath in, I feel like I can't breathe still. And I'm an asthmatic, so I know what that feels
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
And I know I'm not asthmatic because my lungs are clear, but it just
Mhm.
feels like I can't breathe.
Mhm.
So I have to remember.
Anxiety
Um, I
or
don't know
no?
if I don't know if it's I've had an anxiety attack. I have that with my husband. Um, I don't know. It just feels like I have to remember to breathe.
Okay.
To breathe. Yeah.
So that's your first step process.
Is to
You
breathe.
have to remember to breathe.
And
And then secondly, you have to show up
show up.
because you work still.
I
You're
do.
functioning.
I still have a 13-year-old that I have to bring into
Mm,
this world, and it's difficult because I have to be there for her.
yeah.
I have
Yes.
children, grown children, that I have to
Mhm.
still show up for. I have a father who lost his oldest daughter that I have to show up for. I have,
Mm,
nieces and nephews, and she was always the one that loved the babies. And we had just had two babies, and my daughter had my grandson, and my niece
so
had my
cute.
my great niece.
Okay.
And we have videos of them with her, and it breaks our heart because we have more coming this year, and she won't be here to experience it.
Yeah.
And with every new child that comes in, it's I know, at least for me and my brothers and sister,
Mhm.
it's going to break us a little each time, because she was that aunt that all the babies, I mean, when I say she took care, she's the oldest of five.
Mhm. Okay.
And she didn't have a husband and she didn't have children. And we would often talk, and I told her, I said, the reason why God didn't allow you to have children because you have too many already. And every time somebody would have a child, we like, you need to close your legs and stop having children. But she had, my nieces and nephews, my children were her children. My
Mhm,
nieces and nephews were her children. I mean, when I say she was everybody's everybody, she was that.
mhm.
She was that.
So those are triggers. You have many triggers, um, at the same time as while you're trying to process this.
Yes.
So, this time went so quickly, but what would you say to, like Tiffany? Hers is more recent. What would you say to her to try to for the first step for her in her grief?
Breathe.
Mm,
Prayer, for sure.
mhm,
Even when you think there's no response,
mm. Wow,
breathe.
wow.
And I don't know if she has children,
Yes,
but
she does.
she has to continue to show up.
Mhm,
You have to show up. You're still here, so that means you still have work to do.
mm,
Their race is finished. Their race has won.
mhm,
Ours are still, we're still in ours.
mhm,
We still have a fight to fight. We still have things to conquer. We still have goals to achieve, people to reach,
mhm, mhm.
differences to make.
Yes.
We still have to show up.
Yeah.
Even in our pain, it never goes away. You
Mm.
adjust to it in life, you learn to live with it. Once you start, you
Okay.
learn
Yeah.
to live with that pain. It
Mhm.
never goes away because
Mm.
we are all uniquely made, so there'll never be another one.
Never. Never.
I haven't remarried, but I would imagine that would be a little different as well.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, prayer, breathe, and show up.
Okay. Prayer, breathe, and show up. Paula, thank you so, so much.
Absolutely.
And I will be keeping you in my prayers for you
Me
and
too.
those others that are watching. Keep her in your prayers. I know that you're going to make it. She said, they're all right, Tiffany. Thank you. I'm praying for you as well. She got grandbabies as well.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
I know where she's
But
sitting.
yes, yes, you totally get it.
I
But
do.
yes, I know that God, she said, thank you. You're welcome, sweetie.
You're absolutely welcome.
So I know that God is going to bring you through this because He has a plan that you have not even imagined. But God is going to tap in and He is going to heal
I have to
where
believe.
you won't have to tell yourself to breathe. You will breathe, but it's your process. And you take your time and allow God to move you in that way.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're
Listen,
welcome. Thank
y'all.
you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Listen, you guys have a blessed evening. We'll be back here on next Monday. We're going to have Dr. Tamitra speak to us as well and maybe put some clarity because she's experienced death from her father and brother. And she wrote a book as well. So y'all follow Paula. Paula, can we follow you? Are there people
You
that can follow
can. You
you?
can. You can.
Follow her. I know she was doing short blogs dealing with grief, and you can catch her and glean from what her process is, and maybe that would help you.
Yes.
All right. Well, y'all enjoy. Have a
Thank
blessed
you.
evening, Paula. You stay right there.
All
All
right.
right. See you next Monday, everyone.
All right.